Tired of wasting money on mid-games? In this video, we're counting down 15 PS5 games that totally deserve your cash from start to finish. Final Fantasy XVI on PlayStation 5 feels like a dark fantasy TV series where you're in control of the main character. You play as Clive Rosfield, caught in the middle of warring kingdoms and giant icon summons that can literally level the battlefield. Combat is fast, flashy, and completely action-based. More character action game than classic turn-based JRPG. You're constantly swapping between powerful icon abilities, juggling enemies in the air, and dodging huge boss attacks. If you want a cinematic story, stylish combat, and a darker tone than most Final Fantasy games, 16 is absolutely worth your time. Baldur's Gate 3 on PlayStation 5 is basically a full tabletop D&D campaign you can play from your couch. You create your own character or pick an origin hero, build your party, and every choice actually matters. What you say, who you help, even who you romance, can completely change the story. Combat is turn-based, but super flexible. Push enemies off cliffs, set up fire and poison combos, or sneak your whole team into position before a fight. If you love deep RPGs with real freedom and consequences, Baldur's Gate 3 is a dream. Monster Hunter Rise. Sunbreak on PlayStation 5 is all about the hunt loop that keeps you saying, just one more quest for hours. You create your hunter, gear up, and head out to track gigantic monsters across colorful, detailed maps. Every fight is like a boss battle. You learn patterns, break parts, set traps, and slowly turn a terrifying creature into rare materials for your next armor set. What makes Rise and Sunbreak stand out is how fast and mobile everything feels. The wire bug lets you dash through the air, recover from knockdowns, and pull off stylish aerial attacks. Sunbreak adds master rank quests, tougher monsters, new switch skills, and some of the coolest armor designs in the series. You can play solo or team up online and coordinate with friends, chaining mounts, knockdowns, and big damage bursts. If you like grinding for powerful gear and mastering deep combat systems, this one will hook you hard. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 5 feels like playing a full Marvel movie you can actually control. You switch between Peter Parker and Miles Morales, each with their own powers, moves, and story moments. Swinging through New York is faster and smoother than ever, with web wings, instant fast travel, and crazy set pieces that barely give you time to breathe. The combat is stylish and heavy, thanks to new symbiote abilities and bioelectric powers. If you love story-driven superhero games with big emotions and bigger boss fights, this one is a no-brainer. Ghost of Yotei is all about quiet tension in a frozen land, where every step in the snow feels meaningful. You play as a wandering Ronin caught between human warlords and ancient mountain spirits around Mount Yotei. One moment you're dueling another swordsman in a blizzard, the next you're tracking strange lights in the forest, unsure if they belong to enemies or something older. Combat is sharp and deliberate. A few clean strikes, perfect parries, and well-timed dodges matter more than button mashing. Stealth is just as important. Slipping through camps at night, cutting lanterns, distracting guards with wind chimes, and choosing whether to spare or finish your targets. As you progress, you unlock new stances, spirit-infused techniques, and gear that lets you lean into either honorable samurai or fearsome ghost. If you like story-driven samurai tales with a strong atmosphere, moral choices, and stylish swordplay, Ghost of Yotei feels like stepping into your own legend. Nioh 2. The Complete Edition is a fast, brutal samurai action RPG, where every mistake hurts and every victory feels earned. You play as a half-human, half-yokai warrior, cutting through demons with precise combos, counters, and powerful yokai abilities. The combat is all about timing and stance switching. High risk, high reward. If you enjoy deep systems, tough bosses, and mastering tight controls, Nioh 2 will keep you grinding for hours. Alan Wake 2 is a psychological survival horror game that feels like playing through a high-budget TV series. You switch between two characters, FBI agent Saga Anderson, who is investigating ritual murders, and writer Alan Wake, trapped in a twisted, dark place trying to rewrite reality. Every step feels tense, ammo is limited, the flashlight is your lifeline, and shadows can turn into monsters in a second. What really stands out is the atmosphere. Incredible lighting, clever camera work, and scenes that constantly mess with your expectations. If you enjoy story-driven games with mystery, horror, and slow, heavy combat, Alan Wake 2 on PlayStation 5 is one of the most unique, unforgettable experiences you can play right now. Elden Ring on PlayStation 5 is the kind of game that completely pulls you into its world and doesn't let go. You play as a Tarnished in the Lands Between, a huge open world full of ruined castles, poisonous swamps, hidden caves, and towering bosses that can flatten you in a few hits. What makes Elden Ring special is the freedom. If a boss is destroying you, you don't have to bang your head against that wall. You can explore somewhere else, level up, find new weapons, spells, and spirit summons, then come back stronger. You can build a heavy greatsword warrior, a fast katana samurai, a holy paladin, or a pure mage firing lasers from across the arena. On PS5, the faster loading and smoother performance make constant dying much less painful, and the art direction is insane. Giant golden trees, stormy cliffs, dark underground cities. You can play alone, call in NPCs, or summon real players for help. If you want a challenging but incredibly rewarding adventure that you'll be thinking about even when you're not playing, Elden Ring is a must. Horizon Forbidden West throws you into a huge, living open world where nature and high-tech machines collide. You play as Aloy, hunting massive robot creatures, gliding off cliffs, and diving through flooded ruins to uncover the mystery behind a dying Earth. Combat feels great, whether you're sniping weak spots with a bow or setting traps for giant metal dinosaurs. With incredible visuals, smooth performance on PlayStation 5, and a genuinely emotional story, it's one of those adventures you just don't want to rush. The Last of Us, Part 1 on PlayStation 5, is less like a normal game and more like playing through a full HBO-level drama. You step into the shoes of Joel, a broken smuggler, escorting a teenage girl named Ellie across a ruined United States after a deadly infection has wiped out most of civilization. What makes The Last of Us Part 1 so powerful isn't just the infected or the brutal combat, it's the relationship between Joel and Ellie. Their conversations, the quiet moments, the arguments, the jokes, all of it slowly turns a simple job into something much more emotional. On PlayStation 5, the remake really shines. Better facial animations, more detailed environments, improved lighting and sound design. Every small expression and every whispered line hits harder. Combat is tense and grounded, with limited ammo, brutal stealth takedowns, and encounters that always feel dangerous. If you want a story-driven single-player game that actually makes you care, The Last of Us Part 1 is one of the most memorable experiences you can have on PS5. God of War. Ragnarök isn't just more of the same. It feels like the payoff to everything Kratos and Atreus have been through so far. The world is literally freezing over. The gods are angry, and you're stuck in the middle trying to figure out whether you're going to fight fate or help it along. At its core, it's still a story about a father and a son trying to understand each other, just with world-ending prophecy and angry Norse gods on top. In combat, it's pure satisfaction. You still have the Leviathan axe that you can throw and call back to your hand, and the Blades of Chaos for faster, more aggressive fighting shields and new skills give you more ways to play. You can go defensive and precise, or lean into aggressive, stun-heavy builds. Enemies actually push you to use your full toolkit, swapping weapons, using runic attacks, and working with your companions instead of just mashing buttons. What really helps is how varied the game feels. One moment you're exploring quiet, beautiful realms, solving puzzles on a boat. The next, you're in a huge boss fight that looks like something out of a big-budget movie. Side quests aren't just filler. They add to the world, to the characters, and sometimes even change how you see Kratos. On PlayStation 5, the fast-loading, smooth performance, and detailed environments make it easy to lose track of time if you're into story-driven action games with emotional weight and heavy, crunchy combat. God of War Ragnarök is one of those games that actually deserves the must-play label. Dead Space Remake on PlayStation 5 is pure sci-fi horror comfort food. If your idea of comfort is walking alone through a dead spaceship full of screaming monsters, you play as Isaac Clarke, an engineer sent to repair the USG Ishimura, only to find the crew torn apart and twisted into necromorphs. The remake keeps the original structure, but everything feels sharper. Lighting, sound, gore, and the weight of every step. Combat is all about strategic dismemberment. You don't just shoot center mass. You slice off limbs with the plasma cutter, pin enemies to walls, and use stasis and telekinesis to survive when you're surrounded. Headphones make a huge difference here. Whispers in the vents, metal creaks behind you, distant screams that may or may not be real. If you want a tense, focused horror game that looks and feels truly next-gen, Dead Space Remake nails it. Lies of P on PlayStation 5 takes the Pinocchio idea and twists it into a dark, Belle Epoque nightmare. You play as a puppet trying to uncover the truth behind a city overrun by murderous machines and strange experiments. The tone is very Souls-like. Tight level design, creepy enemy designs, and bosses that will absolutely humble you if you get greedy. Combat is all about patience and control. You can perfect guard enemy attacks to break their stance, swap and combine different blades and handles to build your own weapon, and use your mechanical arm for gadgets like grapples, explosives, or heavy strikes. On top of that, the lie system lets you decide how human you want to act, and your choices actually affect the story and endings. If you enjoy challenging action RPGs with stylish combat and a unique, dark fairy tale vibe, Lies of P is a really easy game to get obsessed with. Ghost of Tsushima. Director's Cut on PlayStation 5 lets you live out a full samurai movie. You play as Jin Sakai, riding across windswept fields, bamboo forests, and burning villages as you fight back against the Mongol invasion. You can face enemies head-on in stylish samurai duels, or slip through the shadows as the Ghost, using stealth tools and fear. The Director's Cut adds the Iki Island expansion, plus faster loading, 60 frames per second. Demon's Souls on PlayStation 5 is the game that really shows what next-gen feels like, but it's also brutally honest about your skill. This is a full remake of the classic that started the Souls genre, with completely rebuilt visuals, new animations, and almost instant loading. You create your own character and fight your way through the kingdom of Boletaria, where every enemy can kill you if you get lazy for even a second. What makes it special is how fair it feels. When you die, and you will die a lot, it's almost always your fault. You learn enemy patterns, you figure out shortcuts, and each boss you finally beat feels like a real achievement. The atmosphere is incredible. Foggy castles, twisted dungeons, eerie sound design, and haunting music. Add online messages, co-op summons, and invaders, and the world feels even more alive. If you want a challenging, deeply rewarding action RPG that truly uses the power of PlayStation 5, Demon's Souls is a must-play.